Hi everyone, my name's Donkey and today we're back on the RTS project. So if you remember in the last video we added this overlay object which basically added a really simple text overlay onto our screen which showed us the units, the wood, the stone, the gold. That's relatively simple. The beauty of that now though is we can use this to implement other things. For example, in today's video what we're going to be doing is, so when you click on one of these green tiles or one of these, we're going to pretend they're wood tiles, then it's going to harvest it. Initially it's going to be instant, so we're not going to have any timer on it, but so when we go click here, as soon as we've finished moving to it, it's going to harvest it. That's going to change the tile to the brown tile, not in a very optimized way at the moment, but we can work around that if need be. And then it's going to add to our wood. So to do this we're going to need to have a little play around with our basic unit step. So we want to execute all of the code when we've actually reached our destination. To do this we're going to use if y equals ny and x equals ny. So if we've reached our destination, both variables of destination, then we're going to run this bit of code. Now what we're going to do in the actual code is we're going to get the tile. Now because we're using sprites there isn't an actual way of doing this, but what I've found instead is a get pixel. Now I've been informed the website that's told me about this function, I've never used it before. It says it's incredibly slow. Yep, note this function is incredibly slow. Now as I say, we will be working around this later, using DS grids and probably migrating everything onto a tiles instead, so that we can actually do that. But the problem with isometric and DS grids is obviously not arranged vertically and horizontally. So for the moment we're going to use this. I haven't seen much of a performance drop at the moment, but we'll see as we go. We're then going to show debug message, and this is important. This isn't just for testing. Tile. So what we're going to do now is that should work. So when we reach the tile it should tell us what our color, if you want, the color of the pixel that the tile is. And of course because we've got lots of different tiles, different colored tiles, that works like that. Another way you could, if you were for example having different things in here, so if you actually had drawn something in, all you'd need to do is match up where this point in the player matches onto there and get that specific color. So this is what we're going to do now, is we're going to get the right colors. To do this we're going to open up the notepad, just jot them down. So because we made the show debug message, so if we go to this tile, that's a green tile, and scroll down, should work. It's full screen this. Let's stop it and run it again because I think it might have messed up because I put it over to one side. Let's give that a go. That's odd, it's not working now. It was working earlier. Let's just see we've coded this alright. Object, basic unit, step. Ah yeah, that's why. We put x equals ny, it needs to be x equals nx. Let's run that now. You can drag that over to there. So you can see there, that's the blue tile. We don't want the blue tile. We're going to want the grass. Now what we're going to do is we're going to click on a grass tile and we're going to note down that number. That's the color ID effectively. Copy, paste. Then we're going to want dirt. Not that it's important, but we can use it for later reference. So if we go to one of them, you can see that's now the dirt one. And then we can shut this down. We don't need this anymore, and we can get rid of the. Pull this over a bit as well. Actually, we can get rid of that bit of the debug there. We need the tile still because that is still important. So now what we're going to say is if tile equals, and we're going to take the grass ID. So if it's grass, easy way of doing this actually would be grass tile equals that var dirt. I don't know why we're calling it grass. It's not grass actually. It's wood. Dirt tile equals that. Okay, we can close it down now. I'm not going to save it because we now have these built in here. So now we're going to say if tile equals grass tile, even though it's not grass tile technically. Then what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to replace that tile. So this is where it gets a little bit interesting because we need to know that's in the center. If we're in the center, then this should in theory work. So we're going to draw sprite. This is going to work. So we'll have to replace it. Let's leave that for the moment. Let's pretend that here we've replaced it visually. This might be one of the things which we actually need to change the whole thing to do, but let's pretend we've replaced it visually. Then what we're going to want to do is add to the unit count. So I got it up? Nope. We're going to want object overlay. That's the one. So wood. It's just going to be object overlay dot wood equals plus equals, let's say 10. So what we should now see is, because we haven't actually replaced it visually, it should exponentially go up as soon as we go onto it. And yep, you can see that is happening. As soon as we go off though, it goes back to normal. Now if we were to replace that visually, if we were to set that to be dirt, then this wouldn't go up, it would just go up by 10. The problem is replacing it visually. The only way you can technically replace sprites, well, you can't realistically, is to draw over them. The problem with this, of course, is that it's in the room itself. There is no way of undrawing it once it's there. So what we probably will be doing in the next video is working on replacing the system. Just quickly, we've got a bit of time, so I'm going to explain how isometric grids work. So in a normal grid, you've got, let's just make it whip up a grid here. It's vertical like that. Now let's pretend that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're just going to use 9 tiles. 7, 8, 9. Now obviously in a isometric grid, it's running like that. A bit like that. And that of course is going to work differently. So the way we're going to work around that is we're going to work from as if this has been rotated, this bit going, so this point there is that point there. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and like that. So it's just been slightly rotated. The tricky thing with this is converting the actual coordinates here to be equal to these coordinates. It can be a bit hard to match up, but we're gonna go with that. That's how it's gonna work. We're gonna eventually work out these coordinates and work out, there'll be a constant which you'll need to divide it by to actually get that result. But yeah, that is how we're going to go about that. I'm just going to save that so I can use that in another video. Okay, so yeah, that's what we're working on in the next video. We're replacing, this will probably use our controller object to start the grid up with, and then also that means that we don't have to manually go through and place all these tiles. We can go and do the randomization, which makes it a little bit more interesting as well. So we'll work on that in the next video. It should be relatively quick. It shouldn't take that many episodes. It shouldn't take as long as, for example, the Sandbox and the No Man's Sky one, because we're not actually doing any level generation. But anyway, that's this episode. If you like the video, remember to like, subscribe, or do you guys want to do, and I'll talk to you in the next one.